Well, Cyclone Vardah has made landfall between North Tamil Nadu and South Andhra Pradesh. Rains have started to lash parts of North Tamil Nadu. The state administration, teams of the NDRF, Air Force and Navy are all geared to battle the cyclonic storm and its aftermath. The Air Force assets have been put on high state of readiness. The Tamil Nadu Disaster Management Authority has also geared up to battle high-speed winds, which are moving at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour. 700 men from the army have been kept on standby for rescue ops if needed. Schools and colleges in 4 districts of the state are shut and the city's airport has been closed for operations as well. Several trains have been cancelled. The cyclonic storm is expected to cross the south coast of Andhra and make landfall between Nellore and Chennai.
Between 2 and 5, which is the time that we're at right now, Padmaja, and 5 p.m. is going to be the critical landfall period for Cyclone Vardah. This is the last satellite picture that we got from the Indian Met Department, and it depicts very, very clearly that Cyclone Vardah, is in the process of making landfall on the eastern coast of India, just north of Chennai. I want to take you through another more interesting picture that provides an actual forecast by SkyMet that we've been able to pull out, that gives you a sense of not just how things are right now. This is the picture of the cyclone right now as we speak at about 2 p.m. but also provides a forecasted timeline of what it may look like over the next few hours till 5 p.m. and we've got those pictures here on India Today. If I could take our viewers through that. Here's what it's going to look like at 2:30 p.m. Then if we keep clicking, 3:30 p.m., 4 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. and finally at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. is that critical hour. 2 to 5 p.m. are those critical hours. Here's a look. It has swollen, it has moved inward, and the intensity has probably increased. Remember, at the time of it making landfall, Padmaja, 110 to 120 kilometers per hour wind speeds, a lot of gusting, heavy rains being reported in areas in Chennai as well as north of Chennai. So this is a cyclone that will be pretty intense as it makes landfall over this 2 to 3 hour period, till 5 o'clock, until which there has been an advisory by the Tamil Nadu government, remember, for all people to stay indoors. But this map, this progressive forecast that we've gotten here gives you a sense of how SkyMet is looking at the progression of Cyclone Vardah. And for now, hopefully, all relief teams, rescue teams, the Navy and the administration are looking very closely at these pictures along with several other pictures to make their plans and deployment plans out there from Chennai and north along the coast, both in Tamil Nadu as well as in Andhra Pradesh.
In fact, on the Navy deployment, let me also bring in Jugal Purohit, who in fact is in Chennai. He joins us now from Kasimedu. Yes, Jugal, what is the kind of deployment that you can tell us about?
Well, Padmaja, what I can tell you about is that we are right now completely marooned. There is no communication which is going through. Phone lines are down. People are unable to make calls. But interestingly, and as you can see, there's no rain anywhere around. My camera person Vijay Shekhar will now just zoom and show to you the situation. I want him to show the road where people are walking freely without a single umbrella. There is just no rain right now. Of course, the wind intensity has picked up, but there is no rain, so to speak. Why is this taking place? This, to my understanding, Padmaja, is taking place because we are right now in the zone where the eye of the storm is in all likelihood above us. The rainfall has stopped for the last hour or so. The winds too had died down. That's the reason why you see people coming out. But slowly, as the wind will pick up, and it will pick up speed, because now will come the aftermath of the eye, the second half, so to speak, though we do expect that the intensity will reduce because the cyclone now stands cut off, separated from its source of energy, which is water, and the expanse at sea. That's what's happening right now. In terms of the deployment of the Navy, well, the Eastern Naval Command has said, Padmaja, that it has put out its ships, aircraft, all of it on duty. They've been stocked up, they've got diving teams, they've got Gemini boats, and the Navy tells us that it has adequate ration to sustain 5,000 people in terms of their relief for a few days if the situation so demands. I also want to bring into the picture now Pramod Madhav, our correspondent in Chennai. Pramod, what's the sense you're getting from the city? We are now on the outskirts of Chennai as the landfall nears. What's the input that you're getting? How bad is Cyclone Vardah turning out for the city and the state?
The first and foremost thing is, like you said, as you can see the wind and everything, we are completely cut off. There is no power. Power actually, it has been cut off by 10:30 in the morning itself. And right now there is no cell phone cover where nobody can speak to anybody. Good thing is that you have transport that is running like a bus, metro bus and things like that. People right now, as we can see, there is no rain. They think that the storm is over, but that's not the point. After this, the rain's going to lash out again. And major thing is that due to this wind, there's going to be a lot of tree fall and certain public damages. That is going to be the major thing the city is going to face for tonight and tomorrow, since it's also going to see a lot more rain in the evening as well.
Alright, so Padmaja, that's the sense we are getting from the ground. The winds are picking up, as you can see. It's a little difficult to control yourself in this situation. Stability is difficult to achieve, but nevertheless we are trying, and so is our crew. The situation on the ground, Padmaja, no rain, winds picking up. We expect the aftermath of the second part of Cyclone Vardah to now set in and carry on with its task. Of course, the intensity reduced as against what it was in the first half of the day. Nevertheless, need to watch out for the situation evolving at sea. We need to watch out for people, for the hinterland where flooding is likely to take place, low-lying areas, and of course also the situation in the urban areas. As Pramod was telling us, a lot of trees being uprooted, a lot of poles, a lot of debris flying in the air. Where I am right now, a huge tank made of rubber crashed onto the ground. Some people got injured. Those are the kind of injuries which are evolving. But on the whole, at least for now, what reports we have, not too much serious damage caused by the cyclone named by Pakistan. It means the red rose. Back to you.
In fact, Jugal, something that you pointed out earlier, that there are people who are out on the streets. This despite the fact that the administration has told everyone to stay indoors, given that there could be accidents, there could be fatalities because of uprooted trees, etc. Who is ensuring that these instructions are followed?
Well, Padmaja, it's actually quite difficult to do that, but I want to bring this point that you raised to you. My camera person Vijay Shekhar will now show you. That's a police vehicle which you can see out there, the one which is flashing its lights. Now they've been doing regular patrolling of this coastal area. They've been requesting people to get back indoors. Unfortunately not, of course, many are paying heed to their calls. So the police is definitely trying its best in trying circumstances, but it's going to be difficult. Always, Padmaja, this has been the case in times of cyclones, that when the first half is done, when the eye of the storm is above you, when there is a comparative, relative calm all around, is when people want to come out. They want to, experience the situation. Curiosity perhaps drives them out. But now, as things are picking up, as we anticipate the things to worsen before they improve, the winds are picking up and people are once again being asked to get back indoors. Padmaja, also very important to note, what we understand from this point onwards is that the cyclone, the landfall of which has already begun in many ways, the impact of the cyclone will be felt for the next 6 to 7 hours at the most, after which it will be felt but in the form of rainfall. Winds will die down after 6 to 7 hours, but rainfall will be there as the depression goes on further into the hinterland and brings more and more rain. Interestingly, at this point, important to note that while not too many people, in fact no one, wants the impact of Cyclone Vardah to be felt, but there are many, Padmaja, in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu and in parts of southern Andhra Pradesh, who want the rain to take place. They want the rain for crops, they want the rain for the summer months, and that's the anticipation. You do not want the damage, but you definitely do want the rainfall. Back to you.
Absolutely, and what is critical is that people seem to be ignoring the warning that has been given to them by the administration, Jugal, at this point, which is the 3 most critical hours for the cyclone. It has made landfall. The wind speeds are the highest at this point from across the state. Have you heard of any injuries that people have sustained, any casualties, God forbid? What are the reports that you're hearing of, Jugal, you and Pramod?
I'll get Pramod in to answer that question. Pramod, Padmaja wants to know, is there any report of injury in terms of serious casualties? Just what is it that you're picking up from your sources?
Well, for now, we just even saw one ambulance move by this way, but we don't have exact numbers about the injury and everything. But the government has already said that, including NDRF and emergency response services, officials are there, responsible people have been placed everywhere. And we also saw a certain number of ambulances on the way when we came over here. Even the tree that fell down just 10 minutes, people were there to cut it down and clear the way. Such things are happening, but to get the exact amount of number of any kind of casualty that when it comes to lives, we have to wait for some more time, because like we mentioned, there is no communication between anyone right now. Since we are in the peak of the storm era, there is no connection between anyone. That is the thing actually is blocking to get us any kind of information. Maybe another 3 hours or something, communication once again will be recounted, and at that point we might get more info on this matter.
Right, and Padmaja, this is a point which cannot perhaps be emphasized more. The aspect of communication. Now, every cyclone brings with it high speeds, intense turbulence all around, and very often mobile phone towers lose connectivity. We've seen it in previous circumstances, in previous cases of cyclones. Unfortunately, this time around as well, we are seeing a complete cutout in terms of communication. People are unable to speak to each other, as a result of which information is not flowing. And as I understand, the coordination, the effort of relief and rescue wherever it's required is also going to be hampered. But having said that, it's important to note that we've actually moved on from the time when we would react. Right now, the situation is in a proactive state. You see, the NDRF teams, they come here, deploy themselves. Cyclone Nada was here a few days back. The deployment of the NDRF, the humanitarian assistance, all of that was still very much around. The personnel were here. The Navy put out its details saying that we position ourselves. The Coast Guard has done that. The Indian Air Force has done that. The point being is that from a reactive approach, we are moving towards proactive, which of course takes time, which cuts down on the probable loss of lives. Also important to note is that this is the season. This is precisely the season when the Bay of Bengal becomes, in a sense, a magnet. It attracts, it pulls towards it several of these cyclonic storms. We've seen all of this take place. Largely, these cyclones have hit the eastern coast of India in this time. So clearly there is no surprise factor out here. Adequate time for preparation, and all thanks to the weather department. The weatherman has been keeping us up to speed with this cyclone. I remember the first instance of them informing the country, the government, was about 8 to 10 days ago when Cyclone Nada was still being tracked. They made the announcement about Cyclone Vardah coming. So there is no scope of anybody to say that they have not been prepared adequately. The only casualty for now, and we have to admit that we are cut off as we speak to you. There's no network anywhere. The only casualty for now, and a big one, is the communication. People are telling us that there is anxiety, they're not able to reach their loved ones. I wonder why this aspect hasn't been taken care of. Well, back to you.
Which is the nodal authority, in fact, like you mentioned, there was enough time for the government to make adequate preparations, but we also know that in the past fortnight, the government itself has almost weathered a storm with the passing away of the chief minister, a new CM taking over, the succession battle within the party itself. Who exactly is controlling all the rescue and relief operations right now on behalf of the government of Tamil Nadu?
Well, Padmaja, if you are to go by the books, and we'll get Pramod to answer that question because he reports from Tamil Nadu, Chennai is the city where he's based in. But if you purely go by the books, Padmaja, apart from the fact that the center has the NDRF and it has the NDRF, every state is supposed to have its own disaster management authority. Not just the state, every district is supposed to have its own disaster management cell. All of them have to function, all of them have to be equipped. It's a real question, actually, it's quite a serious question, just how many of these districts, how many of these cells are in operation. Undoubtedly, when it comes to the ground situation, it's the district collector who is the king. Under him are marshalled all the resources, whether it's from the NDRF, whether it's from the local police, whether it's from the Navy, the Army, or anyone. The district Director is the one who coordinates. But let's get Pramod to answer this question. Pramod, as the situation is again, as you can see, visibly the winds are picking up. Could you tell us, who is the authority on ground in terms of the Tamil Nadu coordinating the entire machinery, and how much of a hit really has been taken? Because as we've seen and as the opposition has been saying, that government.
Well, like you mentioned by the book, the state has something called NDRF as well, which was clearly they needed to reconstruct it after what happened in 2015 December floods. And forwarding that, the state ADMK government took it very seriously that they have to prove themselves that not just giving kind of promises to give them public welfare schemes, not just that, they would take care of public property as well. And right now, after what happened with NADA and stuff, they provided a lot of details about the teams that have been brought into the ground, and even the collectors of Tiruvallur, Kanchipuram and Chennai, they gave special information about what are the procedures they have brought in. In fact, as you can see over there, there were like 300 people on this place, and today morning it seems the Tiruvallur collector came over here personally, and he's made a kind of routines to say, ask them to leave the place. And as we were here, police also informed these people, they requested them to move to this higher ground. We have a school over here, and this hamlet, you see how unsafe this place is. They made sure that nobody should be there. As we are like people have once again come back to this place. They have, I would say that they did not listen to the advisory, and they are back there. This is not safe exactly, and we should wait and see what is going to happen.
Okay, we often do not mind people celebrating on the streets. In fact, that's a happy occasion, but I wonder if these people who are doing so here on the ground are really doing the right thing by celebrating, coming out in large numbers. Clearly, the administration has made it stand clear. Some people perhaps refusing to budge. Padmaja, there's also the important aspect of Chennai, the city itself. And again, we'll get Pramod to answer this question. In the wake of Cyclone Vardah, the IMD has made it very clear that low-lying areas of the city will, in that sense, be vulnerable to inundation. But how genuine is the comparison with what took place last year? Is this even a question, or are we talking basically out of context? Let Pramod answer this question. Pramod, many are actually making a comparison. Is it fair, and how serious, how different are these two situations?
If you ask me, I would say what happened in 2015 was a 36 hours of continuous medium kind of rain, not like a cyclone. And in November of 2015 also we had good rain that saturated the ground, and in December when we had this particular rain in 2015, the ground was not able to hold the water. That is when Chembaram Pakam was, they had to open it up at midnight. That was caused the flooding of the city. But this time I don't think that is possible, because in November and October we haven't got sufficient rain. In fact, we need 20% of it. So this rain is essential. And this rain I don't think would cause any kind of flood in that way. Of course there will be water logging maybe for 1 or 1.5 days. But day after tomorrow, if this persists for another 6 hours rain or something, the ground is definitely going to absorb it, and I don't see any kind of flooding because of this one particular cloud system.
Also, Pramod, as we were discussing a while back, there are many who are actually hoping for a good, abundant rainfall out of this, and that is what is happening. Is it largely on account of agricultural needs, drinking water? Why is it that many in Tamil Nadu want rainfall right now?
Well, when it comes to the northern coastal areas like Chennai, Tiruvallur and Kanchipuram, it is entirely because of water. This place is not like an agricultural land. If you want to go for that, you have to go to the delta region, which is the southern coastal region. And this part, they need this rain because there is no other source of water other than for the delta we have Kaveri, but here we need only people depending on Krishna water. And here, if this rain fails, it means definitely they're going to have a problem the next year for water.
Alright, so Padmaja, that's the situation from the ground. A problem if it's too much, a problem if it's too less. But as I said, the wind is picking up now, and communicate to you, but there is no communication for people. We're talking to you through satellite. Most people do not have that. For now, fortunately, impact hasn't been severe, but we're waiting and we're watching. Back to you.
Well, you can imagine right now what Jugal and Pramod, the condition in which they are reporting. High wind speed, it is raining. In fact, it has just begun to rain, I think, a little bit where they are in Chennai. Quite a few trees have been uprooted across the city. But India Today's crew is the only one which is still reporting live after Cyclone Vardah has made landfall. In fact, Jugal and Pramod, it seems that since the last half an hour that we've been speaking to you, the winds have only picked up speed. All right, I can imagine it would be really, really noisy there with those gusts of wind. Welcome back. We are with the very latest from Chennai, in fact, where Cyclone Vardah has made landfall. And joining us live from the city are two of my colleagues, Jugal Purohit and Pramod Madhav, the only TV crew which continues to report live, literally from the eye of the storm. Jugal, and I believe now that the wind speed has only picked up over the last half an hour.
That's in fact, as you can see all around, I'll ask my cameraman Vijay to zoom further and show you. The wind is of course picking up, but it doesn't seem that the people out here are feeling threatened at all. In fact, for them, it's a nice, curious little break. They've all come out of their homes, they're all perhaps having a nice time. But Padmaja, as we're aware, after the landfall, there is a period of relative calm that descends onto the scene, and I suspect we're very much right now in the midst of that period, and we can expect that the situation will go back to what it was when we were reporting from the southern part of Chennai some time ago, with heavy rain, faster winds, and of course more devastation. Now, till now, there has not been any serious news of casualties, serious injuries or fatalities, fortunately so. There's also not been news of distress at sea. I'll in fact ask my camera person Vijay to just zoom on to that area. I'm not sure if you can actually see what I'm trying to show you out there, but that is a fishing village. That's a port actually of a lot of fishing vessels. All of them are in the harbour. I was speaking a short while back to officials from the Indian Coast Guard who told me that on account of sustained communication with the fishing community, they've been able to ensure that there's not a single case of any fishermen being out at sea or stranded. In terms of the road connectivity, Padmaja, fortunately we have good roads out here which are open, an extremely vital element whose importance cannot be overstated at such times when there are trees which are being uprooted, when there's debris flying around. Open roads ensure that response agents like the NDRF, the police, can move in fast, unencumbered, and do their bit. They're doing it right now as reports come in of traffic piling up, of uprooted trees, debris blocking roads. Fortunately, roads are also open. So on the whole, it does look, Madhuda, that the administration, government, the players like the Navy, Coast Guard, the NDRF, police, it at least for now seems that they've got the situation under control. But let's speak to Pramod Madhav to understand more. Pramod, it does seem that for now, notwithstanding the intensity of Vardah, the administration seems to be having the upper hand in terms of controlling the situation, isn't it?
Well, we should say in a way, we have to thank to 2015 floods for that, because Tamil Nadu government learned a major lesson. What they were lacking, what was a ground force they were lacking actually. So they had all kinds of resources. It seemed that there was a miscommunication, lack of communication, which caused a major disaster, which even now some believe could have been easily averted. So this time they don't want to take any kind of chance one, and already the city and the state has gone through another disaster with the Chief Minister's demise. So to keep everything under control and calm, the government has decided to go head on and face the cyclone. That's why they already, even the Chief Minister held a late evening meeting yesterday, and he personally has given an advisory, a 3-page advisory, what should be done, what should not be done, which is quite unique after the state being ruled by the Chief Minister, Jayalalitha, then Chief Minister, now OPS, taking charge. He has also made sure that Tanjatco, the company that rules, that owns this electricity board in Tamil Nadu, they gave a separate advisory, and he has made sure that each and every department provides certain advisory that the people have to follow. This I personally welcome. This is kind of like informing the people what should be done, what should be not done.
Right.
This is quite different and quite new to the state, and I believe that many are agreeing to it because, like, on social media, within seconds it started to go viral, and people have started to learning it and reading it, and of course giving some response. But of course, as you can see, some people still they think this is a kind of a joke because not often Chennai meets a cyclone. So to them this is a spectacle. So some people want to watch it, some people act like daredevils. They should be more cautious. That is what I would say.
Indeed. And Padmaja, having said that, the police has been doing the rounds. The police has been, in fact, requesting people, as you can see right now. Also, this crowd which is assembled here, the police is asking them to go home, to not be out here, requesting them repeatedly, patrolling between them. Unfortunately, it doesn't really seep in till it's too late, or so seems to be the case. However, having said all of that, Padmaja, one must also remember, and perhaps we do not give credit where it's due, but look at the kind of situation that has evolved. We had only in the late 90s the super cyclone in Orissa, which consumed more than 10,000 lives. From that stage to now, when you have good enough communication, when you are spreading your message consistently in a persistent manner, and ensuring that at the sea, in terms of fishermen and vessels in distress, there is no report till now, and in the hinterland, where of course we are still in the midst of the cyclone, the effect of it still unfolding, there hasn't been any serious fatality. So in part credit to the weatherman for keeping us updated well in advance, and in part credit to the administration, which has really ensured that teams are placed in advance. They do not come in response, they come in advance. They position themselves on higher ground so that they can respond. They get the roads cleared, and they pass enough communication. So all of that has happened, and the impact of the cyclone, incidentally named by Pakistan, not a country that many in India really look up to for much coming from their side, but this was nevertheless a multinational arrangement where every country gets a chance to name cyclones. This was Pakistan's time. It named it Vardah, which means the red rose. The red rose is right now amidst us. There is a relative calm which is existing, which is prevailing, and we only hope that red rose goes away with memories equivalent to what you would think from a red rose, and not the thorny side of it. We'll have to, of course, wait and watch how that unfolds. But for now, from here in northern Chennai, where we are expecting maximum impact of the landfall, there's an ebb and flow. I was just being able to talk to you, and now it's difficult to even stand out there. So that's what's happening here on the ground. A period of uncertainty, Padmaja, is how I will put it. Back to you.
Well, in fact, it's not just Tamil Nadu, but also Andhra, which has been put on high alert for quite some time. Really foolish what those people, which Jugal just showed right now, are doing despite the warnings repeatedly given to them by the government, by the disaster management authorities, by the police. They are out on the streets. Remember, this is a time when the cyclone has made landfall. The wind speeds can go up to as much as 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. By getting out on the streets, these people are not only endangering their lives, but also those of the others who will be forced to get out and rescue them. Extremely foolish thing to do. Everyone must stay inside. The next 2 to 3 hours are critical. It's an appeal that has been made by the government, and people should adhere to it. Stay indoors. Do not panic. The power telephone services have been snapped. They are the live images that we are getting from Chennai, where several trees have also been uprooted. Some branches have fallen onto the road, and that is precisely the reason why people have been told to not venture outside, because something untoward could happen at a time like this for the next 2 to 3 hours when the cyclone has made landfall and you're experiencing high wind speeds, heavy rainfall. Things could get ugly. Jugal continues to be with us, and in fact, again, Jugal, we're just putting things in perspective. In the morning, where the wind speed was about 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, now it's gone up to almost 110, 120. Hopefully, none of the boats or any fishing vessel has indulged any kind of misadventure. They are all in harbour.
Oh, absolutely, Padmaja. In fact, let me take you again. Let me try to take you again if the wind permits and the stability exists. That's the fishing port that where I'm pointing to. Now, all of those vessels have been bunched together and kept so that whenever there's an upscale of the tide, whenever there's a downscale of the tide, they all are together, and there is no accident coming out of it to damage the boats. So the fishermen know it. They in fact know it much better than most of us on the mainland do. They feel it, they know what the cyclone is like, and they've taken adequate precautions on the streets. Also, Padmaja, while shops, establishments, schools have been asked to remain shut, we're still seeing some amount of traffic. We're seeing, fortunately, some of the buses moving around, picking up people and dropping them. We're also seeing a lot of vehicles go by, and of course the curious onlookers, the unavoidable curious onlookers who will perhaps go home only when the situation becomes extremely dire. So this is what is happening here on the ground, Padmaja. You know, where we are right now is a solid structure, and that's the best bet when you are facing a cyclone, to be inside a solid structure. But the situation is worse for those who do not have that luxury. I'll ask my cameraman Vijay to pan on to that particular fishing hamlet that you can see on your screen. Now, it's areas like those which are the most vulnerable. We're seeing a lot of roofs collapsing. We're seeing a lot of people, residents of that particular hamlet, coming onto the streets. We're seeing a lot of disturbance in that particular area, in this vicinity of northern Chennai. So the situation here, and Padmaja, I can also share with you that we're actually seeing some sunlight, and that's been a break from the past. Ever since this morning, we've not seen sunlight, and the kind of light that we're experiencing right now is much more than what we've seen in the past. In fact, since early today. Let's get in Pramod to tell us a little more. Pramod, this period of brightness, I was just telling Padmaja, is the first time that we've seen the sun coming out in the open.
Yes, like around, we started this thing around 6 o'clock in the morning, and even 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, it looked almost like 6 o'clock. That was a persistent amount of cloud and humidity in the air that was that kind of darkness to the it does not look like this very often. Even when we had clouds on 2012, a cyclone kind of effect, we didn't feel this much effect, or not this much wind. And right now we can see how this is, because of that way we don't have visibility more than 200 meters, and that is where 20 meters away, 20 kilometers away from this place is where we are expecting the landfall. And this is another place, Kasinadu, north of Chennai, and this is one region that I know that very much affected, and we can very much feel the effect right now.
Also, Pramod, where the landfall is, and the Transmittal district, the Tiruvalla district, and all of those places, how severe is the aftermath likely to be? Are those areas of a lot of low-lying areas where inundation takes place? Just tell us the topography of the area where the landfall is expected, or rather has already occurred. How do you see the aftermath and the area?
Topography, the weather system, Tamil Nadu is there, it does not face much storm. Even if it faces much storm, it goes to the end of either towards Andhra, Nellore and above it. or below Pondicherry and the same area and gets affected with cyclone, or we have this Dhanushkodi that is way lower, and or else we go directly to Orissa. And once in a few months we get this kind of storm in Chennai, like we mentioned in 1994. That was a severe one. Right now we have one more here, Vardah, and this is something required. We needed this rain. What we see right now is that for the past 2 hours, there is no rain. There is only a lot of wind. Which means this rain, I have to tell you that this is not constructed for that kind to face this kind of storm, because it is not very often Chennai needs a storm. So there is going to be a amount of public property damage, and it will be assessed only in the evening once the cyclone makes a complete landfall.
Okay, and Padmaja, also in the areas where the cyclone has already made the landfall, those are the areas that we'll be keenly observing, because that's where the intensity will be the highest. So we have to watch out for the intensity, for the aftermath, in terms of not just the destructive power of the wind, but also in terms of the rainfall, the inundation of those areas, of the low-lying areas particularly, and the kind of casualties, if at all they do. So that's going to be really the main focus area, the area of landfall and its vicinity, because whatever takes place, we are likely to see the situation, the worst of this entire affair, the worst of the entire Cyclone Vardah in those areas. Unfortunately, as I was saying earlier, we do not have the communication links. The administration in its planning perhaps has not really appreciated the need to ensure a continuous basis or continuous ongoing communication, because right now people are telling us that they're just not able to make calls. We are seeing there's network on the phone, it shows, but you cannot possibly make calls or even send messages. So right now the priority needs to be those areas north of where we are, Kanchipuram, Tiruvallur, all those areas where the landfall will take place. It will remain to be seen just what kind of an impact Cyclone Vardah leaves out there. Back to you.
Absolutely. In fact, just stay with me. Let's just tell our viewers that large parts of North Tamil Nadu are experiencing heavy rains. In some areas, trees have been uprooted. Luckily, there are no casualties which have been reported so far, but the communication lines are completely gone. They've been snapped. There is no phone communication as of now, is what we are learning in large parts of Tamil Nadu. But no information yet of any serious injuries being sustained. A few vehicles have overturned in places, and trees, of course, have been uprooted, have fallen onto the streets. The people have been advised to stay off the road, remain indoors, observe all precautions, do not venture outside. And the critical point now, Jugal, will be to ensure that there is no flooding. It's not too long ago that Chennai had seen its worst flooding. In fact, almost a year ago to the date, one of the worst floods to have hit Chennai. What has been done to ensure that that same kind of flooding doesn't happen as a result, as an aftermath of Vardah? Jugal, can you hear me? All right, let me try and again ask Jugal that question, because it's really loud where he is right now. Just about a year ago, we'd seen Chennai experience the worst floods in recent memory. What has been done to ensure there isn't a repeat of that scenario with the heavy rains now lashing Tamil Nadu, Jugal, that there isn't flooding again?
Well, Padmaja, this question has been put to the authorities. We've been asking this question of them, and the first defense that we are given in this particular respect is that it isn't like 2015. It's neither so in terms of the intensity, nor is it in terms of the quantity of rainfall. But having said that, Pramod will again tell us further on this aspect. What is it that has been done after the floods of 2015? Tell us about the kind of steps that the administration took from last year till now towards ensuring that Chennai has a better preparedness when it comes to excessive rainfall and flooding.
Well, after 2015, what the municipality and the Greater Chennai Corporation have learned is that it is necessary to desilt the waterways and declog the canals on time. So what this year they gave us on book is that for 3 months before itself they started the preparation. They brought in new vehicles, new equipment that is required to diesel. And we personally saw them using huge machines to diesel the canals that actually work as kind of like flood essentially excess water to the sea. But this year what happened is that instead of receiving the exact amount of water like 2015, we are having a deficit of water. Like we said, like I mentioned, in October, November, we only had 20% of water that was like, yes sir, that is even average. In 2015, it is above average is what the government said. But this year, it was below average, way below average. So 2015 was an entirely different story. In 2016, they have done to an amount of desilting and declogging the canals and everything. But right now, they have to pray for more water because like the 4 lakes that provide water to Chennai alone, Chemparambakam, Pundi, Red Hills and Koru Lake, they need to be filled to the average level. If that doesn't happen, they're going to face a drought system in the past. So here, more than the cooperation and everything, we entirely depend on nature and then this northeast monsoon, and we are praying for more rain, but not a cyclone or any kind of damage, but for good rain that can sustain city for 1 more year.
There is also the aspect, and there are many who study aspects like disaster management. They've said it in the past that if the government can't alone be doing everything, I mean, you can only have X number of personnel, but not everything the government can do. Tell us about the kind of community participation that exists in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, at a situation, at a time, at a juncture like right now when we are actually in the midst of Cyclone Vardah. Tell us about what's the community participation in Chennai. Are there groups in the society? Are there self-help groups who are coming out, who are volunteering? What's the sense on the community aspect, the community effort?
Well, I have to tell you that after 2015, especially after the disaster, Chennai in particular brought out the essence of community participation, and we saw like how people came to the roads and helped each other. Even this for this particular storm itself, not Nada or any other storm like cyclone formation before, because people and the IMD itself told us that this is not going to be a severe one. But for this one, when the IMD gave the information that this is going to be a severe one, we're going to face huge rains and like really strong winds. We could see on social media that like, there are various other groups, including people who provide information like weather bloggers. They try to keep on constantly providing information, not to create a sense of panic, but to give them adequate information to help them prepare themselves. And self-helping groups like NGOs and others, they've also called for more volunteers, stating that we need more help here. They themselves said like last year this was a place that was completely havoc, so we need more volunteers there. We have to be more prepared. Everybody has asked like we have to get more water, fluoridated water, blankets, food supply. They're trying to adequately bring them all together. That's the way that Chennai is proving that community participation is definitely there. And yes, the government is trying to do it only, like you mentioned, police are over there. They're trying to cordon the area, which could be like really dangerous for people. When they're doing their job, people on the other hand, they are trying to help each other and ease this particular pain that could be caused by the cyclone.
So, Andhra, that's the situation. The government, all its arms doing what they are, and as Pramod was telling us, that the community itself also is doing what it should, calling for volunteers, using the social media, using the good offices of the citizens to ensure that there's adequate material in terms of relief. All of that is in place, and one can say, at least with what one has seen till now, that the state of Tamil Nadu, the city of Chennai and parts of Andhra Pradesh seem to have prepared themselves for Cyclone Vardah. Back to you.
All right, just stay with me, Jugal and Pramod. We have to head into a very quick break, but the latest updates from Chennai, from across Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, will be back with that along with Jugal and Pramod live. Quick break, back in a couple of minutes.